The research colony of Valora hung like a jewel against the backdrop of its azure gas giant, Luminara. Beneath the colony's reinforced domes, over 15,000 of humanity's brightest minds worked tirelessly to unlock the secrets of quantum shield technology. The colony's sweeping architecture and gleaming research facilities stood as a testament to human ingenuity at the edge of explored space. Dr. Amanda Walker stood at her laboratory window, watching the swirling storms of Luminara paint patterns across the sky. Her quantum shield breakthrough had surpassed all expectations, promising to revolutionize defensive capabilities across human space. The prototype generator hummed softly behind her, its protective field extending invisibly around the primary research complex. Dr. Walker, the anniversary celebrations are beginning in the main plaza, her assistant, Thomas Chen, called from the doorway. The governor's asking for you specifically. Amanda smiled, adjusting her formal jacket. As Valora's lead researcher, she was expected to attend the colony's 5th anniversary celebration. 5 years of progress, of pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. 5 years of building a home among the stars. The central plaza was filled with colonists and their families. Children ran between the legs of adults, waving sparklers that traced patterns in the artificial twilight beneath the dome. Governor Harrison's voice boomed over the speakers, pride evident in every word as he detailed the colony's achievements. The first warning came from Junior Lieutenant Michael Hayes in the sensor monitoring station. "Sir, we're detecting multiple hyperspace signatures. They're not matching any scheduled arrivals." Before the warning could reach the plaza, reality tore open in 12 places around the colony. The angular, crystalline ships of the Galactic Council emerged, weapons already charging. Their hulls gleamed with an alien beauty that belied their deadly purpose. "This is Council Executor Xarn." A transmission cut across all frequencies. "The human colony of Valora stands accused of developing forbidden technologies in violation of Council law. You will power down your shields and prepare for immediate neutralization." Panic erupted in the plaza as the message played across public channels. Governor Harrison rushed to the emergency command center, his celebratory speech forgotten. "This is a research colony," he broadcast back. "We have families here, children. Whatever your accusations, we demand the right to present our case to the council." The response came in the form of energy beams that split the night sky. The prototype quantum shield around the research complex flared brilliant blue, successfully deflecting the first barrage. But the rest of the colony lay exposed. Dr. Walker ran through chaos towards her laboratory. If she could extend the shield's coverage, if she could save even a fraction of the population. "Thomas, begin the emergency protocols. We need full power to the generator." The council ships moved with cold precision. Their weapons targeted life support systems, power generators, and environmental controls. Domes began to crack, emergency force fields flickering and failing. The screams of the colonists were swallowed by the roar of destruction. In the sensor station, Lieutenant Hayes worked frantically to transmit data through the council's communication jamming. "This is Valora Colony. We are under unprovoked attack. Civilian casualties. My God, they're targeting residential sectors." Dr. Walker reached her laboratory just as a direct hit shook the building. "Thomas, help me stabilize the generator. If the shield fails," another impact sent her sprawling. When she looked up, Thomas lay motionless beneath fallen debris. In the command center, Governor Harrison made his final transmission. "To any human ships who receive this, they're not here to arrest us. This isn't about laws or treaties. They're here to erase us. Don't let them bury the truth. Don't let Valora be forgotten." Lieutenant Hayes managed to upload the sensor data and footage of the attack to a quantum-encrypted tight beam transmission. As the council ships methodically reduced Valora to rubble, the evidence of their crimes raced through hyperspace toward Earth. The prototype quantum shield lasted 18 minutes before failing. In those minutes, 342 colonists managed to reach the experimental deep bunkers beneath the research complex. They huddled in darkness, feeling the impacts above, listening to the colony die. The Council ships bombarded Valora for 3 hours, ensuring nothing substantial remained. As they prepared to depart, Executor Xarn logged a brief report. Potential threat neutralized. Human quantum shield research terminated. Maintaining story of illegal weapons development. The Council's technological superiority remains unchallenged. Among the ruins of the plaza, a child's sparkler flickered one last time before going dark. In the bunkers below, the survivors of Valora began their wait for rescue, not yet knowing they had become the spark that would ignite humanity's vengeance across the stars. Admiral Catherine Morgan stood motionless on the bridge of the UES Dauntless, her weathered features illuminated by the holographic display of Valora's final transmission. Around her, the bridge crew watched in horrified silence as the Council ships methodically destroyed the colony. Her knuckles turned white as she gripped the command rail. Signal authenticated, Admiral. Lieutenant Commander Sarah West reported, her voice tight with emotion. The quantum encryption matches Valora's protocols. This footage is genuine. The Dauntless, flagship of Earth's 7th Fleet, had been conducting routine patrols near the Arcturus sector when they intercepted Lieutenant Hayes' desperate transmission. Now, as the recording ended, Admiral Morgan's quiet voice cut through the silence. Send this to Fleet Command immediately. Priority Alpha. Then get me everything we have on Council ship configurations, especially their shield harmonics. She turned to her tactical officer. And wake up our sleeping dragons. Within hours, the footage spread across Earth's media networks. Crowds gathered in cities worldwide, watching in stunned disbelief as the massacre played out on massive screens. In New York, a mother collapsed when she recognized her daughter among the celebrating colonists moments before the attack. In Moscow, veterans of previous space conflicts stood in silent vigils, their medals gleaming in the rain. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Marcus Henderson strode through corridors that hadn't seen light in decades. Security doors rolled open, revealing rows of advanced warships waiting in underground hangars. Project Wraith, Earth's secret insurance policy against alien aggression, was about to be unveiled. How many ships are combat-ready? Henderson demanded, watching as maintenance crews swarmed over the sleek vessels. 68, sir. Another 30 will be ready within 2 weeks. Colonel Jessica Reynolds consulted her datapad. The stealth systems are fully operational, and the new quantum core weapons are installed on the first squadron. In Washington, the Parliament's emergency session stretched into its 6th hour. Representative James Chen, his sister among the dead on Valora, addressed the chamber. We built this colony to pursue knowledge, to advance our understanding of the universe. His voice cracked with emotion. The Council revealed their true nature by destroying it. They didn't see humans advancing technology. They saw a threat to their dominion. Admiral Morgan's hologram appeared before the Defense Committee, her expression grim. The 7th Fleet stands ready, but we're no match for the Council's forces, officially. She paused, letting her words sink in. However, if the committee authorizes Protocol Omega, we can show them exactly what humanity has been preparing for. Across Earth's territories, seemingly innocent civilian facilities began transforming. Grain silos opened to reveal missile batteries. Shopping centers descended underground, exposing military command centers. Mining operations switched from extracting minerals to launching camouflaged warships. On the lunar base, Commander William Bull Thompson supervised the activation of the Quantum Forge. They thought we were manufacturing hull plating, he said to his executive officer. Wait until they see what we actually built here. The Council's diplomatic delegation arrived demanding explanations for Earth's aggressive mobilization. They found only empty offices and automated responses. In their arrogance, they failed to notice the systematic disappearance of human ships from tracked shipping lanes. Back on the Dauntless, Admiral Morgan received the authorization she'd been waiting for. Her eyes gleamed as she addressed her crew. For 30 years, we played the part of a minor power. We acted technologically inferior, politically divided, militarily weak. The Council bought our performance, and showed their true colors at Valora. She straightened her uniform. Now we show them who we really are. Throughout the ship, crew members moved with newfound purpose. The Dauntless's innocent-looking hull plates shifted, revealing weapon ports that shouldn't exist. Its reactor signature changed, dropping to near-invisible levels. Battle group formation confirmed, Admiral. Lieutenant Commander West reported. All ships showing ready. Morgan nodded, her thoughts turning to the survivors still hidden in Valora's ruins. Send one last message to command. Operation Vengeance is now active. She turned to her crew, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's response to atrocity. The Council thought they were stamping out a threat. Instead, they've awakened something far worse. She raised her voice. Set course for the Luminara system. We're going to show them exactly what they should have been afraid of. As the Seventh Fleet vanished into hyperspace, Earth's long-prepared plans moved into action. The sleeping giant was awake, and its vengeance would reshape the galaxy. Commander Jack Reynolds stood in the observation bay of the UES Spectre, watching as technicians applied the final layers of photon-absorbent coating to his ship's hull. The vessel was part of Earth's classified Phantom Division, a fleet of warships designed to be virtually invisible to all known detection methods. Final systems check complete, Commander. Lieutenant Emma Davidson reported, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The quantum stealth matrix is operating at 100% efficiency. We're as invisible as a shadow in space. The Jupiter Proving Grounds had become a hive of activity, hidden from prying eyes by the gas giant's massive electromagnetic interference. Dozens of ships like the Spectre underwent their final modifications, each one a testament to humanity's clandestine technological advancement. Show me the test results from yesterday's Quantum Pierce trial, Reynolds ordered, turning from the window. The holographic display lit up, showing a Council-grade shield being shattered by an invisible force. The weapon they'd developed didn't just penetrate enemy defenses, it ignored them entirely. In the ship's tactical center, First Officer Michael Torres briefed the crew on their first mission. The Council maintains a network of long-range sensor arrays along the Perseus arm. They believe these stations are undetectable. He smiled grimly. They're about to discover how wrong they are. The Spectre's bridge hummed with quiet efficiency as final launch preparations began. Reynolds settled into his command chair, feeling the subtle vibrations of the quantum core engine beneath his feet. Status report. Stealth systems nominal. Davidson confirmed. Drive signature masked. Heat emissions contained. We're running silent. Weapons primed. Lieutenant Sarah Foster added from tactical. Quantum Pierce cannons charged and ready. Traditional armaments standing by as backup. Reynolds opened a secure channel to the rest of Phantom Squadron. 5 other ships, each as invisible as his own, acknowledged with brief signal pulses. Remember, he transmitted, this isn't just about destroying their sensors. We're sending a message. The squadron slipped away from Jupiter's shadow, their advanced drives leaving no trace of their passage. To any observer, even the highly sophisticated Council monitoring systems, there was nothing but empty space where 6 of humanity's deadliest warships glided toward their targets. In Earth's Parliament, the diplomatic dance continued. Ambassador Thomas Mitchell stood before the Council's representatives, his expression appropriately concerned as he discussed trade regulations and border disputes. Every minute he kept them distracted was another minute for the real operation to unfold. Of course we're increasing our patrols, Mitchell assured them smoothly. The tragic events at Valora have made our citizens nervous. Surely the Council understands our need to protect our people. The Council observers missed the subtle gleam in his eyes, just as their sensors missed Phantom Squadron crossing the border into their space. Aboard the Spectre, Reynolds watched the primary target grow larger on his display. The Council sensor array was a masterpiece of alien engineering, capable of detecting ship movements across multiple sectors. Its crystalline structure sparkled against the starfield, unaware of the invisible predators approaching. Weapons range in 30 seconds. Foster reported. No indication they've detected us. Reynolds straightened in his chair. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta. Remember your training. No mistakes. The Spectre and its companion ships moved into position, surrounding the massive sensor array. Their quantum-pierce weapons powered up, still undetectable to the Council's technology. "Sir," Davidson's voice held a note of satisfaction, "I'm picking up routine transmissions from the array. They're reporting all sectors clear." Reynolds allowed himself a small smile. "Send the coded message to command. Then target their primary power core." He paused for a moment, thinking of Valora's ruins. "Fire when ready." The quantum-pierce weapons activated simultaneously. 6 invisible beams struck the array, bypassing its powerful shields as if they didn't exist. The structure's crystalline surface cracked, then shattered in a spectacular display of light and debris. "Target destroyed," Foster confirmed. "No distress signal transmitted. As far as the Council knows, their array just disappeared." Reynolds nodded, watching the debris field expand. "Send the secondary teams to the remaining targets. It's time to show the Council that their technology isn't as superior as they believe." As Phantom Squadron vanished back into the darkness of space, they left behind more than destruction. They left uncertainty, fear, and the first hint that humanity was not the primitive species the Council had judged them to be. The Shadow War had begun, and Earth's vengeance would be as invisible as it was inevitable. The Council Emergency Response Center erupted into chaos as reports flooded in from across their territory. Commander Reynolds watched the intercepted transmissions from the bridge of the Spectre, satisfaction evident in his expression. 8 sensor arrays destroyed in the last hour, Lieutenant Foster reported, updating the tactical display. 3 monitoring stations completely disabled. No survivors, no witnesses, no warning. The quantum-pierce weapons had exceeded every expectation. Council shields, previously thought impenetrable, offered no more protection than tissue paper against the advanced technology. Each strike was precise, devastating, and most importantly, untraceable. "Message from Admiral Morgan, sir," Davidson announced. "The Council's regional fleet is being diverted to investigate. They're completely blind in 3 sectors now." Reynolds nodded, studying the movement of enemy vessels on his display. "Just as planned. Lieutenant Foster, prepare to execute Phase 2. Let's show them what these ships can really do." The Spectre's engines pulsed silently as they approached their next target, a Council battlecruiser leading the investigation. The massive vessel's crystalline hull sparkled with energy as its crew searched frantically for any sign of the attackers. "They're scanning with everything they have," Davidson reported, a hint of pride in her voice. "Not even a whisper of our presence. The stealth systems are performing perfectly." Reynolds opened a channel to his squadron. "Remember your assignments. Disable their engines first, then communications. We want the rest of their fleet to see what happens, but we don't want them calling for help too soon." The Phantom Squadron moved into attack formation, still completely invisible to the Council's sophisticated detection systems. 6 ships against a vessel 10 times their size. But size meant nothing when you couldn't see your attacker. "Quantum-pierce weapons charged," Foster announced. "Target locked on their primary engine matrix." Reynolds took a deep breath. "All ships, execute on my mark. Fire." The quantum weapons struck simultaneously. To the Council crew, it must have seemed like space itself had turned against them. Their engines exploded in silent bursts of energy, their communications array crumpled like paper, and their weapon systems failed in cascading failures. "Enemy vessel disabled," Foster confirmed. "Their secondary systems are trying to compensate, but they're dead in space." Reynolds activated his ship's external speakers, letting his voice carry to the crippled vessel. "This is Commander Jack Reynolds of the Earth Fleet. Consider this a reminder. Valora will be avenged." The message sent ripples through Council space. A premier battlecruiser, disabled in seconds by an invisible enemy. The footage spread rapidly through their networks, despite attempts to suppress it. For the first time in centuries, Fear crept into the Council's collective consciousness. Back on the Spectre, Reynolds received new orders from Admiral Morgan. Phase 3 authorized, he told his crew. Set course for the Centauri defense platform. It's time to show them our full capabilities. The Centauri platform was one of the Council's proudest achievements, a massive space station capable of coordinating military operations across multiple sectors. Its defenses were legendary, its security supposedly absolute. Multiple Council vessels in the area, Davidson reported as they approached. They're establishing a defensive perimeter. Looks like they're expecting us. Reynolds smiled grimly. But they still can't see us. Lieutenant Foster, target their shield generators. Let's give them a proper demonstration. The Phantom Squadron struck like ghosts in the night. Quantum pierce beams lanced through the platform's supposedly impregnable defenses. Secondary explosions rippled across its surface as critical systems failed. The defending Council ships fired blindly into space, their weapons passing harmlessly through the areas where they thought the attackers might be. Platform defenses neutralized, Foster announced. Their coordination network is offline. We've effectively blinded Council operations in this entire quadrant. Reynolds opened a broadcast channel, letting every Council ship in range hear his words. The humans you dismissed as primitive have become your worst nightmare. We can strike anywhere, at any time, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. As the Phantom Squadron disappeared back into the void, they left behind more than destruction. They left a message written in the language of fear. Humanity was done playing by the Council's rules. The Council's response was swift but futile. They doubled patrols, increased shield strength, and activated ancient defense systems. But how do you fight an enemy you can't see? How do you stop a ghost? In the darkness between stars, Commander Reynolds and his crew prepared for their next strike. The Council's day of reckoning had only just begun. In the crystalline halls of the Council's Grand Chamber, pandemonium reigned. Representatives from 30 different species argued across the tiered seating, their voices echoing off the transparent walls. The recent attacks had shattered more than their military installations. They'd broken the illusion of Council invincibility. High Counselor Vex, a towering figure from the Drachnid species, watched the chaos with calculating eyes. His scaled hands gripped a data crystal containing proof of corruption that went to the very top of Council leadership. The decision to attack Valora hadn't been about forbidden technology. It had been about fear and greed. The humans haven't just demonstrated superior technology, he addressed the chamber, his resonant voice cutting through the noise. They've exposed our leadership's lies. Valora was developing defensive shields, not weapons. The attack was unjustified. Admiral Morgan watched the leaked Council session from her command center aboard the Dauntless. Earth's intelligence network, dormant for decades, was now paying dividends. Send our thanks to our Drachnid friends, she ordered, and prepare the next data package for release. Throughout Council space, carefully planted evidence began surfacing. Financial records showing massive bribes. Secret communications revealing the true motivation behind Valora's destruction. The Council's own people began questioning everything they'd been told about humanity. Another member species has requested emergency withdrawal from the Council, Lieutenant Commander West reported. That makes 5 in the last week. Their defense network is starting to show gaps. Morgan nodded, studying the strategic display. Have Commander Reynolds' squadron exploit those gaps, hit their supply lines while they're disorganized. In a secure meeting room on neutral territory, Ambassador Mitchell sat across from Drachnid Representative Karn. The massive alien scales shifted colors in agitation as they spoke. Many of us opposed the attack on Valora, Karn rumbled. But we were overruled. Now, seeing your true capabilities, we understand why certain Council members feared human advancement. Mitchell leaned forward. Fear led them to commit atrocities. Now they're learning what they should really have been afraid of. Across Council space, more cracks appeared in their once unified front. The Solarians withdrew their fleet from joint patrols. The Nexus Confederation closed their borders to Council ships. Each defection weakened their military response to Earth's phantom strikes. High Counselor Vex addressed a private session of loyal species. The humans have been preparing for this for decades. While we watched their civilian ships, they built a ghost fleet. While we monitored their public research, they developed weapons that ignore our strongest defenses. In the shadows of the Council's capital world, Earth's sleeper agents continued their work. Computer systems mysteriously failed. Defense coordinates became corrupted. Supply ships arrived at empty coordinates, while Earth's phantom fleet struck their real destinations. "Sir," Davidson's voice carried across the Spectre's bridge, "we're detecting unusual activity from the Council's core worlds. Their ships, they're fighting each other." Reynolds watched as Council vessels exchanged fire near a major supply depot. "Different factions choosing different sides," he observed. "Send word to Admiral Morgan. The fractures are spreading faster than predicted." Back in Earth's Parliament, Ambassador Mitchell delivered his report. "The Council is breaking apart under its own weight. Their lies about Valora were just the beginning. Each revelation weakens their authority, turns their own people against them." Admiral Morgan received the reports with grim satisfaction. They thought destroying Valora would keep humanity weak and divided. Instead, it united us and divided them. She turned to her tactical officer. "Prepare the fleet for Phase 6. It's time to strike at their core worlds." In the Council's Grand Chamber, High Counselor Vex made his final move. "I call for an immediate vote of no confidence in the current leadership. Their actions at Valora weren't just a tragedy. They were a crime that demands justice." The chamber erupted again, but this time the chaos had purpose. Species that had been part of the Council for centuries began formally withdrawing their support. The mighty alliance that had dominated galaxy politics was crumbling from within. As Earth's forces prepared for their next major offensive, Admiral Morgan addressed her fleet. "The Council's unity was built on lies and fear. Our unity is built on something stronger: the demand for justice. Valora will have its vengeance, not just through force of arms, but through the collapse of the very institution that ordered its destruction." The Council's power was fracturing, and through the cracks, humanity's vengeance poured like molten steel. Admiral Morgan stood at the center of the Dauntless's command deck, holographic displays showing 12 Council fortress worlds surrounding her position. Each one had been considered impregnable, their planetary shields and defense fleets the pride of Council military might. "All battle groups report ready," Lieutenant Commander West announced. "Operation Thunderstrike commencing on your order." Morgan's expression was carved from stone as she gave the command that would change the galaxy forever. "Tell Commander Reynolds to lead the first wave. All ships, execute on planned coordinates." The Phantom Squadron materialized from the void near the fortress world of Nexus Prime. Their quantum pierce weapons had been modified, enhanced with knowledge gained from each previous engagement. Behind them, Earth's main battle fleet dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation. "Council Defense Fleet detected," Foster reported from the Spectre's tactical station. "They're moving to intercept, but their formation is scattered. The internal conflicts have destroyed their coordination." Reynolds watched as the Council ships attempted to form a defensive line. "Target their command vessels first, then move on to the planetary shields. Time to show them what these weapons can really do." The quantum pierce beams lanced out, invisible until the moment of impact. Council command ships, each one a masterpiece of alien engineering, cracked open like eggs. Their shields, the most powerful in known space, might as well have been non-existent. "First wave of planetary defenses neutralized," Davidson reported. Moving on to secondary targets. Across 11 other fortress worlds, the same scene played out. Earth's forces struck with precision and overwhelming force. Council defenders found themselves fighting an enemy they couldn't track, using tactics they couldn't counter. Admiral Morgan coordinated the assault from the Dauntless, watching as decades of planning came to fruition. "Begin Phase 2 of the operation. Send in the ground teams." Earth's dropships, equipped with the same stealth technology, as their space-based counterparts slipped through the gaps in Council defenses. The elite strike teams targeted command centers, shield generators, and communication hubs. Council response ships approaching from the core worlds, West reported. They're attempting to rally their forces. Morgan's lips curved in a predatory smile. Spring the trap. Hidden throughout the battlefield, automated weapons platforms activated. The Council Relief Force found themselves caught in a deadly crossfire. Their formations broke, their ships scattered, and Earth's forces pressed their advantage. Commander Reynolds led his squadron through the chaos, their stealth systems allowing them to strike with impunity. Target their fleet command center, he ordered. Let's see how they fight without coordination. The Spectre's quantum pierce weapons fired, their beams cutting through the Council command center's supposedly impenetrable defenses. The massive station's crystalline structure shattered, its fragments spreading across space like a deadly constellation. Council forces are in full retreat from sectors 7 through 12, Davidson announced. Their command structure is completely broken. Morgan watched as the Council's military might crumble before Earth's onslaught. Begin broadcasting on all frequencies. Let them hear the price of their arrogance. The message went out in every known language. This is Admiral Catherine Morgan of the Earth Fleet. Your fortress worlds have fallen. Your fleets lie in ruins. Surrender now, or face the consequences of your actions at Valora. On the surface of Nexus Prime, Earth's ground forces secured the Council's central database. Teams of specialists began downloading centuries of classified information, exposing the full extent of the Council's corruption and crimes. Admiral, West's voice carried a note of triumph. We're receiving surrender signals from multiple Council installations. Their remaining forces are standing down. Morgan nodded grimly. Secure their weapons and begin processing prisoners. I want every Council leader who had a hand in the Valora massacre identified and detained. The battle for the fortress worlds lasted less than 6 hours. When it was over, the Council's military backbone was broken, their greatest defenses shattered, their secrets exposed to the light of day. Commander Reynolds stood on the Spectre's bridge, watching Council ships power down their weapons. Send word to Earth, he ordered. Operation Thunderstrike is complete. The path to their core worlds is open. As Earth's forces consolidated their gains and prepared for the final push toward the Council's capital, Morgan addressed her fleet once more. Today we've shown the galaxy that humanity's vengeance cannot be stopped by shields or fleets. The Council thought they could destroy us at Valora. Instead, they engineered their own destruction. The fortress worlds had fallen, and with them, the Council's last hope of stopping humanity's righteous vengeance. Deep within the captured Council archives on Nexus Prime, Commander Reynolds and his team made a discovery that would shake the foundations of galactic society. Holographic records sprang to life, showing secret Council meetings from decades before the Valora massacre. Play it again, Reynolds ordered, watching as ghostly figures discussed humanity's potential with barely concealed fear. The humans advanced too quickly, a Council leader's image proclaimed. Their adaptation rate exceeds all known species. If they master quantum shield technology, our technological advantage will be eliminated within a decade. Lieutenant Davidson worked at a nearby console, decrypting more files. Sir, I've found something else. Operation Containment. It wasn't just Valora. They had plans to destroy every major human research installation. The evidence painted a damning picture. The Council hadn't acted out of law or principle, but from pure fear of human potential. Valora had been just the first target in a planned campaign of systematic destruction. Admiral Morgan received the reports aboard the Dauntless with cold fury. Broadcast everything, she commanded. Every file, every meeting record, every secret communication. Let the galaxy see what their leaders were planning. The revelation spread like wildfire across Council space. Species that had remained loyal out of tradition or fear now turned against their leaders. The carefully maintained image of Council benevolence shattered under the weight of exposed truth. 7 more Council member species have declared independence in the last hour, Lieutenant Commander West reported. Their combined fleets are turning against the Council core worlds. On the neutral world of New Geneva, Ambassador Mitchell addressed an emergency gathering of non-Council races. The evidence played behind him as he spoke. The attack on Valora wasn't an act of law enforcement, he declared. It was the first strike in a planned genocide. The Council feared human potential so much they were willing to destroy us to prevent our advancement. The chamber erupted in shouts of outrage. Species that had watched the Council from afar now pledged their support to Earth's campaign. The balance of power shifted with each new revelation. Commander Reynolds led the Phantom Squadron through the debris field of another fallen Council station. Their defense network is collapsing, he reported to Admiral Morgan. Their own people are turning against them. More classified files emerged, secret weapons programs, suppressed technological advancements, entire species held back from their potential. The Council's leadership had maintained power not through wisdom, but through carefully controlled development of their member races. They didn't just fear us, Morgan observed, studying the reports. They feared anyone who might challenge their dominion. Valora was just the latest in a long line of atrocities. Earth's fleet pushed deeper into Council space, now joined by ships from newly liberated species. The Council's remaining loyalist forces found themselves outmatched and surrounded. Another Council defense fleet has surrendered, Davidson announced from the Spectre's tactical station. Their crews are requesting asylum. They're saying they won't fight for killers of children. The reference to Valora's youngest victims sparked fresh determination among Earth's forces. The Council's carefully constructed web of lies and control was unraveling, revealing the rot at its core. High Counselor Vex transmitted one final message before disappearing from the capital world. They weren't just afraid of human technology. They were afraid of human ideas, of our courage to question, our drive to improve, our refusal to accept artificial limitations. Admiral Morgan received the message with grim satisfaction. They thought destroying Valora would keep humanity in check. Instead, they showed everyone exactly why we needed to be free of their control. The combined fleet approached the Council core worlds, their numbers swelled by ships from newly liberated species. What had started as humanity's vengeance had become a revolution. All ships, prepare for the final push, Morgan broadcasted. The Council's leadership will answer for their crimes, not just against Valora, but against every species they've suppressed and controlled. Commander Reynolds stood on his bridge, watching the Council capital world grow larger on his display. The truth had proven more devastating than any weapon, turning the Council's own strength against them. Send word to all Allied forces, he ordered. The final battle begins at dawn. The galaxy watched and waited as humanity led the charge toward justice. The Council's long reign of secrets and lies was about to end, and a new order would rise from the ashes of their corruption. The truth had been revealed. Now came the consequences. The Council capital world of Luminex burned in the light of its twin suns as the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history dropped out of hyperspace. Admiral Morgan stood on the Dauntless's command deck, Earth vessels flanked by ships from 24 liberated species. Final status report, she ordered, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's long journey to this moment. Phantom Squadron in position, Commander Reynolds reported from the Spectre. Council leadership bunker located and targeted. Their remaining forces are concentrated around the capital complex. The Council's last defenders formed a desperate line around their seat of power. Their once mighty fleet had been reduced to a fraction of its former strength. Many of their own ships now turned against them. All Allied forces confirm ready, Lieutenant Commander West announced. Ground teams standing by for deployment. Morgan took a deep breath, thinking of Valora's ruins. Begin the final operation. Commander Reynolds, you have priority targets. The Phantom Squadron struck first, their quantum-pierce weapons cutting through the Council's last line of defense. The Spectre led the charge, its advanced systems allowing it to penetrate deep into enemy formation. Primary shields neutralized, Lieutenant Foster reported. Ground teams had their opening. Earth's dropships descended through the chaos, carrying elite strike teams from multiple species. Among them, Lieutenant Hayes, one of Valora's few survivors, led the primary assault team. "This is for Valora," he whispered as his team breached the council chambers. Inside the Grand Hall, the remaining council leaders found themselves trapped. Their automated defenses, their personal shields, their last desperate measures all failed against humanity's advanced technology. "Surrender," Reynolds's voice echoed through the chamber. "Face justice for your crimes." The battle for the capital lasted 3 hours. When it ended, the council's leadership stood in chains before an interspecies tribunal. High Counselor Vex presided over the proceedings, his scales shimmering with righteous anger. "The evidence is insurmountable," he declared. "Centuries of suppression, countless lives destroyed. The massacre at Valora was merely the final act of a corrupt regime." Admiral Morgan watched from the gallery as the verdicts were read, each crime enumerated, each punishment pronounced. The council's leadership would spend the rest of their lives in maximum security detention, their power stripped away forever. In the ruins of Valora, surrounded by the debris of destruction, construction crews began their work. The colony would rise again, not just as a memorial, but as something more. The Galactic Assembly, Ambassador Mitchell announced to representatives from 100 worlds. Built on the site of the Council's greatest crime, it will stand as a reminder and a promise. Commander Reynolds stood with his crew, watching the sunrise over Valora's new foundations. The quantum shield technology that had so frightened the Council now protected construction teams as they worked. "We didn't just want vengeance," he reflected. "We wanted justice, not just for humanity, but for every species the Council kept down." The Galactic Assembly took shape over the following months. Its architecture incorporated elements from all member species, its halls designed to encourage cooperation rather than domination. Dr. Amanda Walker, one of the survivors from Valora's bunkers, led the installation of the memorial chamber. Holographic displays showed the faces of those lost, their stories preserved for future generations. "They died because the Council feared progress," she told the assembled delegates. "Their memory will ensure such fear never again determines our future." Admiral Morgan stood at the podium during the Assembly's inauguration ceremony. Behind her, the Phantom Squadron performed a visible flyover, their stealth systems deactivated for the first time. "Valora's destruction was meant to be a demonstration of power," she declared. Instead, it became a catalyst for change. The Council's fear of human potential led to their downfall, but our strength was never in our technology alone. She gestured to the assembled representatives, human and alien standing together. "Our strength was in our determination to seek justice, our willingness to stand against tyranny, and our ability to unite others in a common cause." As the new era dawned, the stars themselves seemed brighter. Humanity had emerged from the crucible of vengeance, not just as a military power, but as a leader in a more just galaxy. The Assembly's Great Hall, built upon the ashes of tragedy, echoed with voices from 100 worlds. Where the Council had ruled through fear and suppression, the new alliance would govern through cooperation and mutual respect. Valora's spirit lived on, not in vengeance, but in the promise of a better future for all species who dared to reach for the stars. The end.